Alright, call this meeting to order. Good morning and welcome to this January 16th call meeting of the Vestavia Hills Board of Education. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda, which is displayed on the screen. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next order of business is to approve the minutes of the December 13th meeting that have been distributed. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Any discussion or corrections to the minutes? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, I'll turn the meeting over to Dr. Mason for our consent items.
Several consent items, some overnight trips. Actually, those are all the consent items are overnight or out-of-state trips, so I recommend approval of those.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation and the board approve the out-of-state and overnight trips as submitted. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Our first order of business is to discuss the next steps in the superintendent search process. So I'll take a minute to review the process to date. We began our search back in the fall by hiring AASB to conduct the search for us. Dr. Terry Jenkins was our lead consultant who held meetings and focus groups to help us determine the search criteria. And additionally, there was an online survey that was very successful and it gave us a lot of good feedback on what the community wanted in their next superintendent. The search was then launched on a nationwide basis, and over the next month, a lot of work was done to seek out and recruit qualified candidates. 32 applications were received from 15 different states, and they were reviewed by AASB. And then the top 4 finalists were presented to us by Dr. Jenkins at our December 13th board meeting. Interview dates were then arranged, and each visit included a tour of our facilities, meetings with teachers, central office staff, as well as students. Then a reception was held for members of the public to meet each candidate before the public interview was held. These public interviews were recorded and posted on our website the day after the last interview. The Alabama Open Meetings Act requires that all board business be conducted at a public meeting. Therefore, the selection of a new superintendent will be done at an open meeting. But we're not ready for that step just yet. What we'd like to do today is determine which of the candidates we'd like to consider further. And it's important to remember that a vote to consider someone further does not depend on or indicate that this candidate is a first choice of anyone. So, I'd like to ask for a motion to name a candidate that the board would like to know more about.
I figure if we don't nominate anyone, Mason has to stay.
There you go. There you go. In that case, I will nominate someone.
Jerry.
I'd like to make a motion on Dr. Martin. Would like to delve further and get a chance to find out more about him for the position.
All right, we have a motion to pursue Dr. Martin further. Do you have a second on that motion? Second. All right, any discussion, board members?
I'd just like to say that when Dr. Martin's interview, I went back through, and probably this is absolutely the most handwritten notes I've taken since high school and or college. So I went back through and reviewed them, just some kind of things that stuck out to me that he talked about. I'd like to highlight, he spoke a lot about like collaborative vision. I think it's one thing to have vision, but it's another to kind of buckle that word collaborative into it, that I feel like from our interactions with him before the meeting and that he very much values the collaborative nature of things. He talked about superintendent leads by learning and how he's focused on personal learning and development, and as that as a model for the rest of the system to fall in alignment with. As he talked about leadership, he talked about engagement with all stakeholders. He talked about how a leader is visionary, but a leader is also consistent, optimistic, positive, and a hard worker, which I think are all things that we'd like in a superintendent. He commented several times on being student-centered in decision-making, which I think is very important. And then I thought one thing also that stuck out to me is that he appreciated and embraced the idea that the superintendent is not only the leader of the school system, but also a community leader. And he recognizes that's a part of his role that goes beyond just leading the district, but being influential in the community. So those are some of the notes that I took on Dr. Martin.
All right. Any other comments from members? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
And
Other
then
motions.
I would like to make a motion that we can consider further Dr. Todd Freeman. Similarly to me, when I took notes on him, he said that he embraced thoughtful change. He described the superintendent role as a lead learner. He had a strong focus on the why. Multiple comments about transparency, and then it was clear that he had listened all day long, and that several of his answers he incorporated things like students had told him, and faculty had told him, and principals had told him, which I thought instead he was kind of coming in and staying on script, that he tailored his comments afterwards without notes, which I thought was also impressive. And I think it was Dr. Freeman that went down exactly what the Rebel Edge was and stuff, which was great. And then I really liked his answer on the importance of extracurricular activities, and I thought given the fact that he plays piano and sings and that kind of thing, and then also is involved in athletics, all of that he gets that whole picture piece. So for those reasons, I'd like to consider Dr. Freeman further.
All right. Can I get a second on that motion, please?
Second.
All right, any other discussion? Board members, any other comments to make? Dr. Freeman? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any other motions? All right. So we will now begin the process of learning more about Dr. Norton and Dr. Freeman. This process may include additional reference checks, further conversations with the candidates themselves, site visits to the candidates' current and former communities, and any other steps that we feel might be appropriate. To facilitate this process, it will be necessary to organize contacts and schedules, so I'll entertain a motion on how the board would like to proceed with these next steps.
I'll make a motion.
Speaks.
Well, I thought you were going to continue to talk. I'll make a motion that we allow Madam President Corona to coordinate with the assistance of Dr. Mason a second phase of due diligence on the two remaining candidates.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Dr. Mason, snow day discussion.
What are the odds?
Should we add a date?
So we're discussing what to do about the December 8th snow day on the January 16th snow day. As indicated in the materials that the board has received, that currently the state requirement for instructional times is stated in terms of hours instead of days. And as we looked at the length of our school instructional days, we realized that we can't meet that state requirement without going back and making up that day that we missed on December the 8th. And that's what I recommend that we do. Adding another day at this point would certainly not have any impact at the high school because the first semester is over and in books. And also we don't have makeup days built into our calendar for this year. We do have makeup days or a day built into our calendar for the next 2 years. But currently we don't have one, so there's not an obvious place to make it up this year. And the governor did not declare that particular day a state of emergency. The governor has already declared today, or has declared a state of emergency for today, and that usually means then that schools are not required to make up the day. But for now, we're just focused on December the 8th. And so I guess my recommendation is that we just note that we can meet the required number of hours of instruction for the year without going back and trying to find the time to make up that day.
All right, you have heard the superintendent's recommendation that we follow that plan to cover that December 8th snow day and do not need to add a makeup day. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item involves an opportunity that we have working with Jefferson County and with the city of Vestavia to gain access to a baseball field at the Gresham Elementary site that would greatly improve the practice schedule for our baseball program. Tyler can give you the details on that, but currently our 9th grade team practices at the high school after the varsity and the B team are practiced, and sometimes their practice goes until 9 o'clock or later, I understand, which obviously is not ideal for young people to be tied up in school activity that late on a regular basis when they have homework and sleep and other things that they need to be doing. So through this proposed agreement with Jefferson County, we would be able to go in, make some improvements to that property. It still belongs to Jefferson County. There's no question about that. We're not assuming anything. It's just that currently it belongs to Jefferson County, but they have agreed to the draft agreement that would allow us, working with the city, to go in, improve that field, and begin using it right away for 9th grade baseball practice. From the city standpoint, it would enable the city, Parks and Rec, to have another baseball field then to use for their programs also. Because once we're through with it right after school, then that field will be available. It is lighted, lights will be functioning. So it's just a win for us, it's a win for Parks and Rec, and I appreciate Jefferson County being willing to work with us on making that happen. I certainly appreciate the city taking the lead on this and lining up all the work to make it happen in a very short period of time. So that's what this proposed agreement is about.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board approve the agreement with Jefferson County Riverbed to grant our request related to the baseball fields at Gresham School as submitted. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is a proposed owner-architect agreement with Latham & Associates to do the design work for the proposed addition and renovations at what is currently Gresham Elementary School. I think the proposal is pretty much self-evident. We have folks from Latham here, Brendan is here from KPM if you have questions for them. The second is just authorizing Latham to get going on that design work for the additions and addition and improvements to the Gresham Elementary facility. Certainly we would not start on that work until we're clear that we're going to be able to purchase that building, but we don't want to lose that interim time, and we need to get the design going to hit our target date of that facility being ready in the fall of 2019. So recommend board approval of the agreement that's in your materials.
All right, you heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board approve the agreement with Latham Associates for additions to the Gresham School as submitted. Do I hear a motion to approve? And second?
Second.
Okay, any questions?
I got a timeline, ETA on drawings and recommendations?
We have 20 days for schematics, 20 days for design development, and 23 days, I believe it is, for the final document, so about 60 days.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is personnel. We have a number of personnel recommendations for the board that are reflected in your packet.
You have heard the superintendent's recommendation that the board approve the personnel actions as submitted. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Just one item that I would share under updates. The city government is having their annual strategic planning session this Thursday and Friday. And we've been invited to join them on Friday, January 19th at 9:30 a.m. in the executive conference room at City Hall to just share information about the school system, and certainly grateful to have that opportunity. And it is a public meeting, certainly anyone and everyone is welcome to come to that. Greg Maynard and I will be working with Chairman Corona to decide exactly the best use of that time. But in general, I think we'll focus on some of the challenges that the school system faces as it looks out long-term. Financially, that's probably the best use of our time. So we'll be preparing that presentation as soon as everybody gets back to work, and hope to do that in time to share it with all of you before we walk into the room on Friday. It's going to be kind of a close call here, but Greg and I have been working on it and talking about it, so I think we can do that. So just want to make you aware of that, and certainly as many of you as can attend, I think that would be a good thing. So appreciate that opportunity from the city to talk about where we are and continue to explore ways that we can work together.
Dr. Mason, you said 9:30?
And what time is it?
9:30, the executive conference room at City Hall. That's it.
All right, last order of business will be to invite public comments. We ask that you please come to the podium and state your name and address, and limit your comments to agenda items and to 3 minutes if possible. There being no further business to come before this board of expenditure.